On March 19, 2025, Ukraine launched a precise HIMARS strike targeting Kursk. The staging area for newly arrived North Korean troops was deployed to Russia in response to Kim Jong Un's call for military assistance. In just 90 seconds, a firestorm rained down like a thunderous barrage, engulfing the position without warning. 3 North Korean Koksan artillery guns, along with their entire crews, were completely wiped out before a single shell could be fired at 4:19 a.m. on March 19, 2025. In Kursk Forest, a Lika 100 reconnaissance UAV group was deployed by Ukraine from a forward base near sea. Their sole mission was to locate, track, and lock onto the weapons depot and over 3,000 North Korean reinforcements who had just arrived. In Russia, 3 days earlier, 3,000 North Korean troops had crossed the border via the Valley Railway, joining Russian forces stationed in Kursk, raising the total North Korean presence to over 15,000 soldiers. They brought with them at least 12 Koksan M1978 artillery guns, each with a firing range exceeding 60 kilometers, which Russia hoped to use against Ukraine's logistics hubs in Sukhumi and Pavlovsk. The first 3 Koksan units were secretly moved into the Kursk Forest, arranged in a skewed triangle formation to reduce the risk of simultaneous destruction. Anti-drone nets, steel fragment shields, and camouflage canopies stretching from the vehicles to the treetops were rapidly deployed in an effort to turn the site into a phantom artillery fortress deep in the forest. But before any of these systems could fire, Ukraine struck first. With a single precisely targeted HIMARS salvo, the battlefield was overrun in under 90 seconds. At 4:22 a.m. UAV imagery confirmed the 3 Koksan stationed in an open clearing, their barrels aimed southwest, half covered in camo. A team of around 15 artillerymen was seen conducting reload operations. The site lacked radar coverage and had no close range air defense systems. Encrypted data was relayed to artillery command in Suvorov. Ukrainian officers immediately analyzed imagery and sensor feeds to draft a suitable attack plan. Exposed static structures, no air defense, and no need for bunker-penetrating warheads. The Koksans were above ground, and no suicide drones were deployed as the risk of impact with steel mesh barriers was too high. Instead, Ukraine selected the HIMARS M140 to firing M30A1 GML-RS rockets, a munition purpose-built for striking well-camouflaged but exposed targets. At a glance, HIMARS resembles a standard military truck. But beneath its steel shell lies one of the world's most precise mobile strike systems. It is the iron arm that can reach dozens of kilometers and eliminate its target with a single push of a button. HIMARS stands for High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, a high-speed truck-mounted rocket launcher. Ukraine uses it as a core weapon in deep strike raids to destroy enemy supply lines, artillery bases, ammunition dumps, and command posts. At its heart is the M140 launcher, capable of carrying up to 6 M30A1 GML-RS guided rockets, each with a range of up to 84 kilometers and ACEP of under 3 meters (9.8 feet). It employs an alternative warhead containing 180 to 1,000 performed tungsten steel fragments that disperse at hypersonic speed, saturating an area up to 100 meters (328 feet) wide. Upon detonation, the warhead unleashes a spherical burst of tungsten shards, resembling a superheated rain of steel, devastating enemy infantry across a wide radius. Just one M30A1 rocket is enough to reduce a Koksan gun into a pile of scorched metal. All guidance is powered by the M-Code military GPS system linked directly to satellites and UAV scouts, enabling HIMARS to lock and strike exposed, camouflaged, or even slowly moving targets. The 290 horsepower diesel engine gives the vehicle a top speed of over 85 kilometers per hour, 52.8 miles per hour, allowing rapid fire and evade tactics, ideal for Ukraine's strike-and-vanish warfare style used across all fronts. After each salvo, HIMARS requires less than 2 minutes to relocate, making enemy counter-battery fire or loitering munition response virtually impossible on the Ukrainian battlefield. HIMARS is not a symbol of brute force, but a phantom of speed, precision, and unpredictability. Each time it appears, there is no warning shot, no signal flare, only a clean surgical strike, and then silence as if it was never there. And in the early morning of March 19, 2025, deep inside the Kursk Forest, Ukraine once again demonstrated why the name HIMARS strikes fear into the heart of every enemy artillery unit. On the tactical display of the 27th Artillery Brigade, the icon for high-value target lit up instantly. An M140 HIMARS launcher was activated from cold standby just 3 minutes after target confirmation. At exactly 4:25 a.m., from a hidden HIMARS fire control station deep in the Sumy Forest, Ukraine, the fire command was issued. The fire signal was transmitted over a frequency-hopping UHF channel, constantly shifting to evade Russian interception or jamming. HIMARS switched into semi-automatic fire mode. Launcher pod number 1 rotated slowly to bearing 68.3 northeast. Elevation angle set at 53 degrees, optimal for a high-arc semi-ballistic trajectory. The Makode GPS guidance system sensed perfectly with the UAV's targeting relay. Weather conditions: southeast wind at 4 meters per second, 8.9 miles per hour. Temperature to sea 35.6 F. Ideal for stable trajectory and pinpoint range. Within 3.66 seconds, target locking was complete. The artillery officer's finger gently touched the digital trigger. All systems were ready, waiting only for the final green signal. At 4:26 minutes and 15 seconds a.m., the first M30A1 rocket was launched. It roared out of launcher pod number 1, slicing through the morning mist above Kursk forest. Within 3 seconds, it reached a velocity of 2,700 kilometers per hour at an altitude of 11,000 meters, skimming above the forested hills of Chernihiv, Ukraine, avoiding detection by Russian ground radar. The M30A1 followed a high-arch quasi-ballistic flight path, rising sharply, then plunging near vertically toward its target. This trajectory increased both accuracy and survivability by minimizing interception windows. From 6,500 meters, 21,325 feet above, the reconnaissance UAV continued locking the target and maintaining a satellite-linked guidance feed. Tactical-level encrypted signals updated the missile's course every 2 seconds, ensuring it stayed perfectly aligned with its attack vector. The guiding UAV was a lightweight tactical recon drone built with a distinctive M-wing configuration. It featured a burst mode high-speed data transmission module capable of uploading a full targeting dataset in under 1 second, with a radar cross-section as low as 0.05 square meters, 0.5 for square ft, roughly equivalent to a large seabird. It remained virtually invisible to Russian early warning systems like Podlet K1 or 35ZH6. It wasn't a military object, just a faint blip in the sky. But from that faint, harmless disturbance came the guiding hand of a long-range precision strike aimed straight at a Russian weapons depot. Just 18 seconds after launch, the M30A1 reached its apex altitude of 21,400 meters, 70,290 feet. At that altitude, the missile pitched downward, transitioning into a near-vertical dive at over 2,500 kilometers per hour, 1,553 miles per hour, turning Earth's own gravity into a weaponized acceleration vector. At 4 minutes and 50 seconds, the first M30A1 descended on the Central Artillery Complex. Its alternative warhead detonated mid-air, releasing 180 to 1,000 steel pyramid fragments at hypersonic speed, shredding everything within a 100 meters radius. The ammunition truck was the first to be hit, erupting in a fireball over 10 meters, 33 feet high. A nearby 170mm Koksan gun absorbed multiple fragments. The chassis twisted and the barrel was torn open. Its sighting gear and self-propelled engine were completely destroyed, turning the cannon into a charred, inoperable hulk. 7 North Korean crewmen were blown from their positions, none survived. At 427 minutes and 7 seconds, the second M3A1 impacted the western battery. Though it missed the center by 3 meters, 9.8 feet, the airburst still triggered a cone-shaped fragment sweep that saturated the entire gun position. One shard pierced the ammunition loader of the second Koksan, another destroyed the optical scope, shattering the entire fire control system. The rear track was thrown from its axle. 2 artillerymen were repositioning the barrel. One collapsed instantly. The other crawled from the firing compartment, staggering behind a trench, then vanished into the smoke and dust. Fate unknown. The second gun, though not completely destroyed, was permanently disabled. At 427 minutes and 50 seconds, the third M30A1 slammed directly into the final resupply truck. The blast snapped the load-bearing axle, tipping the cannon sharply to its right. The breech was torn apart, the gun elevation system shattered. 5 North Korean soldiers, rotating shifts, were flung violently. None had time to react. One survivor attempted to flee into the woods, but was hit in the leg by a fragment and collapsed after just a few steps. Total strike duration, just over 90 seconds. All 3 Conan artillery guns eliminated. All 3 ammo trucks obliterated. A full North Korean artillery unit wiped out in the depths of Kursk forest. Only 3 HIMARS rockets, worth less than $500,000 had inflicted over $10 million United States dollars in damage on the Russian-North Korea coalition, crippling an entire strike formation. Moments after the detonations, all communications from the 3 gun crews were cut off. The Russian forward command post west of Kursk initially assumed it was a technical fault, but within 3 minutes, Ukrainian UAVs transmitted real-time images. The entire battery was annihilated. Russia immediately dispatched Orlan-10 drones and a rapid response team, but it was too late. The HIMARS team had withdrawn. The UAVs had ascended beyond detection range. This marked the 3rd time in under 2 weeks that North Korean Cannon artillery had been destroyed. Immediately after deployment, Russia was forced to halt all long-range artillery deployments at the Kursk front, unable to guarantee survivability for incoming units. It was a silent campaign, but one that cut deep into the pride of Russian and North Korean artillery forces. The Russia-Ukraine war has entered its 3rd year. Since early 2025, Russia has struggled visibly on the Eastern Front. In an effort to salvage its position, Moscow signed a wave of military aid agreements with Pyongyang, bringing in over 15,000 elite North Korean artillery troops along with hundreds of heavy weapons. But now, a critical question looms. With 15,000 North Korean soldiers deployed to Russia, will they become the force that shifts the war's momentum, or just the next targets on Ukraine's kill map?